So we are less than 2 months away from the midterms, talking politics now. And this year's elections are expected to be some of the most consequential races in years. CBS News political director Finn Gomez is joining us now with more. This is actually turning out to be,
hey guys.
Hey, it's turning out to be really interesting midterms because the polls are shifting ever so slightly in favor of the Democrats in some cases, which is not according to history. That's not how it's supposed to go. So, but let's talk about some states that are, showing some interesting races. The Senate race in New Hampshire could be one of the GOP's best opportunities to pick up a seat this year. What can you expect to see in tomorrow's primary?
Yeah, traditionally what you do see is that the party that is in the opposition of the party who holds the White House does better in these midterm cycles. We definitely saw that in 2018. But yet tomorrow there are 3 states that are holding contests. They're the 3 final of the season before the November 8th midterm elections. That's Delaware, that's Rhode Island, and of course New Hampshire, which is the battleground state in this 2022 midterm cycle, but also one that is typically an important state in the 2024 cycle as well. But in this one, you have someone who is considered one of the most vulnerable Democrats on the ballot, and that's Senator Maggie Hassan. Tomorrow, on the Republican side, there are several Republicans who are vying to face Maggie Hassan, but it is essentially between 2. It's between Don Bolduc, the retired Brigadier Army General, and Chuck Morse, who is the state Senate president in New Hampshire. Now, the thing about Bolduc is that he's considered more of a far-right candidate, more of a MAGA candidate. After the FBI search of the former president's Mar-a-Lago estate, he called for that. He said, "Why should we even have a FBI still?" So he's been controversial. Republicans in D.C. and other places have seen that, and they're trying to boost Morse, who they think would be a better matchup against Maggie Hassan. But in the last Granite State poll, Bolduc had a double-digit lead against Morse, but you're seeing some of this PAC money come in. There's a PAC with Mitch McConnell's aligned PAC, super PAC, that has put in about $4.5 million to try to prop up Morse. However, it could still be one of these examples if Bolduc wins, which could really happen tomorrow, that a Republican, a far-right Republican, can win the primary, but then have a much steeper climb in the general election, even against vulnerable Democrats like Maggie Hassan.
Let me ask you about another race that I think is really interesting. It's the Georgia race for Senate. We have Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker. And I think there's something to be said that we have 2 African-American candidates, right, running. But, man, things are getting interesting in these sort of days as we inch closer to the election. They're basically neck and neck in the polls.
Yeah, there was a poll that just came out a couple of days ago that showed that Walker has a 3-point lead, which is essentially a statistical dead heat. I was talking to a top Democratic consultant over the weekend who projects, he thinks that it's going to be perhaps like in runoff territory. It's that close. And you do have Walker, who has not held elected office before, facing against Warnock, who's a new senator who came in 2020, and in that runoff, in that very important key runoff that essentially established the control of the Senate for the Democrats. Now, Warnock is considered one of the top candidates the Democrats have fielded essentially for this go-round for 2022 midterm cycle. Warnock has made some really big gaffes and has really made some mistakes, really some controversial statements and remarks and positions. Recently, in the last couple, over the last month or so, the GOP sent reinforcements. They sent some veteran GOP strategists and consultants to help him. And there's now a debate, and it's going to be a lot of focus that's going to happen in this debate that we're going to expect in Savannah next month. But this is one of the tightest races, and it can very much, both sides that I've spoken to have said that this race and the outcome of this race in the Peach State could really establish who holds the control of the Senate come November.
Wow.
Now, Finn, you said Warnock had made some serious gaffes. You meant Herschel Walker?
Oh, excuse me, Walker. Yes, Walker has made some significant gaffes.
So the producers are telling us we got to go. So 30 seconds. What are the leading issues for voters as we get closer to November?
Well, it's still like the economy is still one of the most important issues that matters to most voters. Inflation, gas prices, they have gotten better, they have gone down, but that's top of mind to most voters. However, not enough can be said about how the abortion rights, abortion access debate has fueled Democrats, has fueled women voters, young voters, and even independents in this race. And it has really cut into the earlier projections of the Republicans taking back the House and even controlling the Senate. And right now, it's become more competitive in the House across the landscape, and there's a lot of projections that say that Democrats hold the Senate. So that that abortion rights, abortion access has been really significant, and also crime. Crime continues to be a very important national issue across the country.
All right.
So we'll be watching. It's still going to be one of the most consequential elections in years.
Thank you, Finn.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Anne Marie.